Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are now live once again. And we're going to be talking about football. Sorry about that, I hit a wrong button and did something wrong. Welcome to America. Anyways, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you guys are doing well. Just wanted to put together a live real quick. I had some people request that they wanted to have a conversation. So I'm looking to invite people in that want to have a conversation, man. So if you want to be on the live and, ask some questions about what you should do or the process or whatnot, put it in the comment below that you want to chat. We can have a conversation ASAP. Let's make that happen, man, because I'm putting stuff out there and I'm trying to help you guys be more informed, make better decisions for your child's path. So put it in the comment below. If you want to jump in as a parent and you want to have a conversation, enter the chat, put it in a comment, and we'll get into it. Did I watch the USA-Panama game? I did not watch the game, but I heard it was not good. That tells me a lot, to be honest. It's not a good thing. So, Texas loves you. Open the club here. Hey, actually, we do have a program in Texas. Shoot me a DM and I can tell you about it. But listen, if you're a parent, you want to talk about your son's development or process or whatever, let me know. I had a bunch of people on my live yesterday asking about that, and I want to try and help somebody make better decisions. So shoot me a comment, write a comment below, and I'll invite you into the live. So if you want to talk about your son or your daughter, let's make it happen, man. Let's do it quick. What you got? Love your content. I'm a DLC for a club that charges $500. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, man. I love that you do it for so cheap. Volunteer work is great. So I got people requesting to be on my live. It's great. I'm glad you want to be on the live, but tell me what you want to talk about in the comment. Write a comment and tell me what you want to talk about, and I will invite you in and we'll do it. So let's do it, man. What you guys want to talk about? Do you know any clubs? Guys, just to be very clear, I do not recommend any clubs. I can't recommend a club because I even if they say they want to do the right stuff, it doesn't mean they're going to actually do the right stuff. So that's the thing that I think people don't get. So, there's plenty of organizations I know that have a curriculum, but they don't follow it and they just do kickball. So, that kind of stuff drives me through a wall, But come on, who wants to have a conversation? I'm trying to help somebody. Get on the call. Ooh, ID camps. Yeah, I can talk about ID camps for sure. I think that's pretty funny. ID camps. What do you want me to hit about ID camps? What about it specifically? Is it worth it or not? It depends on what you want to get out of an ID camp. Like if you're looking to be recruited, not going to happen. If you're looking to gain an experience, you can get experience. What's the biggest difference between European academies and U.S. clubs? Listen, there's a lot of differences, bro. There's a lot. But for real, I want to invite somebody on the live. So put a comment in, and I'll invite you in. So can somebody be like, yo, I want to jump on your live? I got a bunch of people asking about ODP. Okay, so let me do the ID camp first, and I'll answer ODP. ID camp. So ID camps for college is what you're talking about. Those are money grabs. The colleges run them because they want to make a lot of money. Don't blame them. And, they're charging. I gave my example yesterday about West Virginia. When I was in high school, I did the West Virginia camp multiple times, twice in the same year. In fact, spent $1,000 for the 2 camps. Did not get recruited to go to West Virginia. In fact, got an email shortly afterwards saying that they weren't interested in recruiting me anymore. And that easily, it's that easy for college recruiting. ODP, again, something I talked about yesterday, but ODP is not what it used to be. ODP used to be the pathway to get to the national team. Now it's no longer that case, and this should answer the question for you. If it doesn't, how do I make this easy for you? They have ODP national teams. That's how irrelevant ODP has become. If you're looking for an experience, I think it's great. If you're looking to get out and, get exposure, don't think you're going to get it, man. That's my personal opinion. May not be good for you. May be good for you. Not sure. Okay. Who wants to jump on the live and have a conversation? That's what I want to do. Because I had 5 people ask yesterday. More like 10. Hey, I want to talk with you about my process, about my son, my daughter. I want some advice, and I'm willing to do it right now. So if somebody wants to jump on this, let me know, bro. I'm happy. If ODP is no longer the pathway to the national team, what is? Oh, that would be MLS academies. MLS academies are the pathway now to the national team. Or playing in Europe. If you play for Europe, or not for Europe, but play in Europe, you'll get in. All right, let's put in Anthony. Let's do it. Done. That dialogue. Would love to answer your question if you want to come on the live. That way I can give you more detail. I think that's easier. Opa!
Anthony, how are you?
My dog. What's going on, bro? How are you? What's your name? Anthony, I'm living the dream,
I've been
brother.
following you for
Another day in
quite a while,
paradise.
and I'm
Thanks for jumping on.
tandem
How
with
can I help?
everything that you're trying to expose
Yeah.
all over here. I've been following you for quite a while,
Oh, I lost you, man. I'm
and I'm a
sorry. You
huge
cut out. Say
supporter
that
of you
again?
trying to expose
Yeah.
the kind of cash cow at the grassroots level here. I've got a 10-year-old. I was brought up in the UK, and football over there in Europe is so different. Like, we don't pay for it,
Yeah.
and even at grassroots level,
Completely
the
different. Yeah.
teams that you're calling club level teams here, that people are paying thousands for, over here they're
The wreck.
classed as academies. They're nowhere
Yeah.
near
That's
academies.
wreck.
I'm watching 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds. I've got
No,
videos of
not
7-year-olds being
even
able to
close.
do incredible things based on technique. Whereas over here, it's, as you say, it's just speed and power. When I'm watching
Yep.
kids the same age as my son and younger, not being able to receive
Yep.
on the back foot, kicking the ball, not being able to lock their ankles, the basics, opening up, and with parents paying 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
grand a season for what, when they can't do the fundamentals.
It's
And
crazy.
I love what you're doing, and I'm
Uh-huh.
a supporter, but fundamentally, right, and I'm in tandem with you, how do we change this? How do we expose them? How do we make a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good question. I mean, there's two ways that I see it personally. The first one is that, and it's hard because it'd
yeah,
have to be all the parents or like the majority of the parents. And I'll give you a great example. I live in Florida, right? So Florida has, I should say, FYSA. FYSA has 100,000 players competitive, or maybe in total. It might be in total. So imagine if they woke up tomorrow and there was only 20,000. FYSA would be shitting themselves going, oh my God, where'd all these kids
yeah,
go? Because like I had a meeting with them and US Soccer at the same time. They invited a bunch of coaches in and they
yeah,
were gloating about how they had 100,000 players that are playing soccer under their organization. And I'm going, and at the same time, they're blaming coaches for the current situation. So that's the first part. The second part would be we put pressure on US Soccer and the governing bodies. So FYSA, but the problem is, to be honest with you, there's 8 governing bodies right now. So there's example. I don't remember all off the top of my head, but there's FYSA, which would be so it's USYS. There's US Club Soccer. There's Say Soccer. There's AYSO, MLS Next, UPSL Youth. Like there's all the federations that I don't call them governing bodies, they're not a federation. So that's a huge
yeah.
problem in itself. So really, it'd be us going and putting pressure on US Soccer to do something.
All right.
But I
I
don't
mean,
think they're
yeah,
gonna
I
do
mean, I
something
have a
unless
theory
the
and a
money's
hope for
taken out.
US soccer, that I'm hoping
You know
that,
what I'm saying?
with the likes of Messi coming over here, dragging all these players, I think
Yeah.
they're the people initially we should kind of target to, because a lot of those players are coming over here started football at grassroots level. I'm sure the Beckhams and the Messis do not know that these kids are being exploited.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. And for them to challenge that, to break the status quo, to get someone like, I don't know, an Arsene Wenger over here to come and rip up
Yeah.
the grassroots level
Yeah.
and incorporate fully qualified coaches, not someone's
Yeah.
dad, who then, it's kind of connected. I
Mm-hmm.
started reading up and research about how many of these cash cows have been stealing money and embezzling from parents.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's all of them. Like I gotta tell you, I'll tell you something funny, right? So like my brother's moving to another state and he's gonna work for an organization that has 12,000 kids. And he's like, I was like, bro, you gotta feed me this information. Like I want to be able to put this out there because like people
Yeah.
don't get it. Like they think they're getting value, and the thing is, they're not obviously getting value. It's just money. And at the end of the day, it's the parents that have to be the ones that hold the clubs accountable because they're paying for the service. Like I think pay to play is fine if it's done the right way. Like if example, you made the example. They're paying $3, $4, $5,000. Okay, you're paying that amount of money,
Kyle,
but you should be receiving value of $7,
Kyle, let's
$8, $9,000 worth of information or training or whatever it is, and that's not happening. The value that they are receiving is $10,
Kyle, if
$100,
if we
two
break
hundred
the
bucks
four or
at
five
most.
thousand
So
dollars
it's
that you're
just a
paying a
complete
year
ripoff.
down, if your child was entering into a school house, right? Bricks and mortar,
Yeah.
right? You were complaining, saying, well, at the end of the season, how's my child developed? In what areas has my child developed? But no, again, it's just let them put a little badge on, have a nice kit, and being, trained by someone who's never played the game in large parts, has no tactical awareness, then lets these kids play, and then screaming at the kids for not carrying out tasks that they simply can't do. And you're paying, in many instances, for these guys to yell at your kids. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And I get frustrated, Carl, because I come from a country where that just does not happen. And I think,
Well, check this out. I think this will help. This helps summarize the problem. So I went to the United Futsal Tournament, which was it was in Orlando, and there's 500 teams. So it's one of the biggest futsal tournaments, if not the biggest one. And I'm watching a lot of games, and I would say probably upwards of 90 to 98% of the teams that are there are literally just plucking players. So they're grabbing a bunch of random kids, we'll call them superstars for their age group, and they take them to this tournament wearing their uniform, wearing a brand. It's not everybody, but it's we lost Anthony. But it's 90, let's get him back in, but it's 98% of these organizations, I'll say 90 to 98% that are doing this, and it's a huge problem, man. Hold on, let me try and get him back in here. Hold on, we lost him. Hold on. We gotta fix that. Anthony, and then I gotta get some other people on the live as well, because there's people that I want to invite in to have a conversation. I think it would be Golden, baby, Golden. Let's see if we can find him. Anthony. But that's a huge problem, because everybody wants to play for can't find him. Play for a winning team. That's what people want to do. And again, I don't blame them for wanting to play for a winning team, but you should also want to play for an organization that is going to develop you. And that's the thing that we like to do, is develop players. So hold on. Let me, Danielle, I'm going to invite you in, okay? Put you in right now. Hold on. And we can chat, and I can answer your question about your son or daughter. Oh. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if Anthony's going to come back in or not. There he is. Let's get Anthony back in here. Boom, done. Go live with Anthony. Done. Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. Sorry about that. But let me finish with this, right? So I'm at this tournament, good tournament. I love the environment. It's great. I'm watching all these games. I'm talking to people, and they're like, yeah, they're just kids that they grabbed and took and did whatever. And I'm like, I don't blame them, bro, because I went to the tournament and I brought all of my kids except for 2, because I needed a goalie and we had a kid back out last second, so I had to replace one. And that was it. And I brought, in total, over all the tournaments, I brought 8 teams. So only 2 kids were not mine. And I'm looking at all these other teams playing, and they're all kids. Again, not everybody, but 90 to 98% of the teams that are there, they're plucking kids from different environments, bringing them to this one tournament, and then winning and doing very well. I personally cannot stand that. And I had multiple people reach out to me, hey, can we guest play for you? And I'm like, no, you can't.
These
I don't want guest players
based on winning.
I don't like
It's
like
a
that.
fact that in Europe, competitive football doesn't start till the age of 12 and 13, 14. Up to that point, it's just development. So, Carl, you can have a team that steamrollers my team 12-0. But a result for us could be, well, did we pass the ball 5 or 6 times? Can we complete 5 or 6 passes continually? Because knowing that in 3 years' time, when we meet you again and we're physically at an equal level, we'll outpass you.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's a joke, and it's a huge problem because it's not going to change until, like I said, I gave my opinion. I think the parents have to be the ones that pull the money out and go into a different direction. I mean, we could probably try and brainstorm what that is. I don't know what the answer is yet. I mean, I always tell people, find a coach that you believe that does the right thing, but stop putting your money into a cash cow.
Yeah.
And if you do that, they're going to have to fire a lot of people, and then eventually they're going to have to change. But everybody asks, what do I do now? Well, what you do now is you still focus on development. You focus on developing those skills that you're talking about. But people don't know how to do that, so they freak out and they don't realize that they have an option. There's always options,
then,
but you're not willing to take the risk to do it.
Let's just say that they're still charging you 3 or 4 grand, right? So in that year's contract, at the end of that year, there should be a huge checklist, maybe 12 or 10 points, that your child should be able to do X, Y, Z. So maybe
So listen, I've done that. I've literally put out yearly objectives and say, hey, listen, your child should be learning this. And none, pardon my French, but I'm going to say it like this. None of the parents gave a fuck about it. Zero. And I'm like, why am I going to keep doing it personally? Like, and this is with my own organization. I'm like, why am I going to keep giving stuff that parents don't care about? They just want to win. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think the idea is excellent.
Yeah,
But the problem is
yeah.
you have to get the right people into your organization to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I did it. I put it all together. I put every single age group. And then I even used, I put this out there. Like, I'm a big believer in the Croatian development curriculum. And they have one that's,
Yeah,
that they have the
yeah,
104 technical
yeah.
elements. That's all game-based technique. It's not those ball mastery drill cones and stuff like that. It's just game-based technique. And they have it from U8 to
Yes,
U13.
exactly.
Every single technical piece needs to be introduced. And they give you the age groups. But again,
Which is
98% of parents,
insane.
let's say
And
all parents, but 98% of parents
I
don't care
have
about
a
it.
theory that if the US get their shit together and really invest and get proper coaches, I think within 30 years'
Mm-hmm.
time, it will be such a powerhouse. It'll be frightening.
It should be. Yeah, I mean, there's no, like, put it this way again, using Croatia. I live in Florida. There's about 30 million people that live here. How do we
Yeah,
not have 50 senior national team players just in Florida? It's bullshit. There's no way that we don't. But then, again, you have Croatia. They're 3 to 4 million people, and they have a guy that's won a Ballon d'Or.
right.
They've been to a World Cup semifinal and final, and they were just in the Nations League final. Like, what are we talking about? Like, there's no comparison. But again, it just relates back to the youth development structure is terrible. And I've had people argue with me, well, we have more players
Right.
playing internationally. Yeah, because they're smart. They took the risk to get overseas. They left the bullshit here, got to Europe, got to Spain or Germany or England or France or
But
wherever they
also,
went to, got into the
the
system, they
counter
got
argument to
into a
that is the
club, and they worked
size
their way
of
up.
this country. There
That's
should be more
why
players. There should be more. I mean, when you look at the Premier League, the person who's made the most impact, and it hasn't been that successful, is Pulisic. There should be a lot more because there's I see so many kids playing each week and weekend, but they do not have the fundamentals. I'm going back to London in a few weeks, and if I just walk in any random park, these kids just have it. And I just think we need to invest properly in coaches who are going to do their job and play due diligence. And I think it's up to us parents to demand more of these coaches, and whether it's demanding reports or slowing down, forget the tournaments. Let's just get the grassroots level fundamentals into the kids and start from there. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just a huge supporter of what you're trying to do, and sick of seeing these cash cows making frigging millions. It's ridiculous.
Cash. It's ridiculous. No, it's
Yeah,
dude, it's completely ridiculous. And like
not,
again, for
not
me,
a
is if
problem.
you were
Not
delivering
a problem.
value, then me, you, and everybody else would not be upset. Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be a problem. But because you're not and you're ripping people off, that's why I was like, I feel the need to do it. Because I remember reading a quote from Tim Howard talking about how the youth development sucks. And I'm like, but there's nobody talking about it. Like, we're just all watching this happen and saying nothing. So I said, you know what? I'll be the guinea pig. Everybody can blame me. I'll take the blame.
Yeah.
And I'll be the guy that will hopefully at least start the conversation of what we can do to change stuff. Because, like, kickball should not be a problem. Like,
All the
again,
time.
how often in England do you see kickball happening in youth?
I mean, and it's up to people like Tim
like,
Howard who've been to the Premier League and come back to change it. You identify it, but all right, Tim, you've identified, but what can we do collectively to stop the status quo?
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of stuff, and it's having more people that want to talk about and say things need to change. But at the end of the day, what has to happen is the money. Like the thing, like what people don't realize is all these organizations, U.S. Soccer, FYSA, U.S. Club Soccer, the clubs, they're all businesses. Even if they're a nonprofit, they're a business, and they're going to do anything in their power to make sure they keep giving revenue.
Absolutely.
So the way that you stop them is by taking out their revenue. If you kill the revenue, then they are going to be forced to either die or change.
Well, they want that.
And
They
people
want that
don't want to make that like they don't
reward
get it.
in terms of, well, I've paid $4,000, I want
bro.
my money. As opposed to, no, let's treat it as an investment that you're investing in your child, and the payoff will come further down the line, like a bank account. If I have a savings account, if I keep taking my money out, I'm never going to accrue any interest.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
just
Yep. You're right about
right.
that. Yeah.
I mean, just keep doing what you're doing.
You're getting 0.01% return.
And, you know,
If not
collectively, we
less.
just have to hold these clubs accountable. And I think as parents, as you said, take the money out. Almost go on strike.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Go on strike. Go on strike. Well, because again, like
Yes.
what people don't understand is, okay, unless your child is a generational talent. So what does that mean? Your kid is the next Wayne Rooney, the next Marcus Rashford, and I don't want to say the next type of player, but I'm just giving an example. So if your player is not the next generational talent, like a Christian Pulisic, like a Wayne Rooney, like a Rashford or Foden or whatever, and I'm not saying that player, but as an example, then what you do between
Yes.
essentially birth to 15 years old, the only thing you should be focusing on is development. Because if your player is a generational talent, that means they have the level right now to be seen to go to a pro club or to become a professional at 15 or 16 years old, because that's what's happening. But if they don't have the level, then you need to be developing them to have the level.
Yes.
And
Absolutely. I think a
once they
lot of
get
the
to
problem, though,
15,
Carl,
that's
is
when it
you
starts to
see these
actually
parents
matter.
and they're trying to live vicariously through their kids, and they're thinking that their kids have skills that actually they don't have fundamentally. Because we won a tournament, so what? The quality of the tournament was terrible. It doesn't matter that you won. You've won a really, really bad tournament that wouldn't be laughed at or looked at twice in Europe. So it's about also parents being realistic about where their kids are and the skill set that their kids have in comparison, not to the state, but to the rest of the world.
Right. Right. Well, and again, you bring up the tournament part. Like, there's not many professionals like talking about what they won in their youth, unless it was a big tournament. Like, if you win the UEFA Cup in your youth, the UEFA Youth Cup,
Absolutely.
that's relevant. If you win the Under-17 World Cup, that's relevant.
Right.
If you win the Sarasota Cup in Florida, it means nothing. Nobody's talking about it. Like, I made a video specifically for this, and people are giving me hate saying, well, it's a different thing. And I'm saying, and I'm not like, hey, you can't celebrate the win. You can celebrate the win fine, but don't put it on the resume. It means nothing to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand.
But
So
just
it's
keep doing your
very
thing,
frustrating.
man. Keep doing your thing.
It's frustrating. Trying. I'm going to keep posting content and keep putting it out there, and I'm trying to ramp it up because I just feel like there's more messages and stuff that need to be told.
I mean, okay, let's just say that I've got the money as part of the US restructuring of American soccer, and I made you head. What are the fundamental things that you do from the get-go? The 5 major points that you'd look to restructure. What would you do?
It's a really good question. The first thing I would do is I would make sure there's rules in place to focus on development. What does this mean? Like, we have like with our programming, with all our really young kids, we have a very basic curriculum that is the following. Let's say it's an hour practice, 20 minutes with the ball, working on skills. So fundamentals, toe taps, foundation, drags, dribbling. And then they do 20 minutes of 1v1. And then they do 20 minutes of small-sided games of like 3v3s. And that's literally all they're doing. So I would make that a mandatory across the country. They should not be doing anything else except touching the ball, practicing what they're touching the ball with, so their skills, and then doing a small-sided game. And that's it. They can have a lot of fun doing that. And then the other thing I would try and implement right away is a development structure from, how do I explain this? Like overhead. So saying, okay, we're going to have no kickball, so there's going to be rules in place. Like they put this build out line in. They put the build out line in for 7v7. Wash that and change all the development structure. My opinion, they do 3v3 until, let's say, U9. U9, they do 5v5 until probably U13. And then U13, they should be a lot closer to 11v11. Because right now we don't have it. Our 76. I don't know if you would agree with me, but I would say probably 95% of the kids playing 7 versus 7 are not ready to play 7 versus 7.
And the first half of it, in fact, my son was playing it, was exactly that, just doing fundamentals, right? Then for the last half an hour, after maybe an hour and a half of these fundamental drills, which were great, the coaches got the kids on a full-size pitch and played a game. I'm like, you've just debased everything you have just done. Okay, if you need to play a game, because they didn't need to play a game in that session, make it a quarter of the size of the pitch. So those fundamentals are going to be ingrained in them by having to play quickly and not on a full-size
Exactly.
pitch, because that's then
Yeah.
about stamina. And can you run an immense full-size pitch and they're 9 and 10 years old? What's the point of what you just done? Thank you.
Yeah.
It made no
Well,
sense. And
and then you're
all you
going to
got
get kids that
was,
are going to be pigeonholed in positions.
22 players running up and
So,
down,
like,
and the stamina wasn't there. I'm like, you've just wasted an hour and a half. Small-sided games.
yeah, completely wasted. Yeah, completely wasted. And I would add to that, like, that's why I keep saying, like, and this is a good alternate scenario. You look at basketball. Basketball never goes above 5v5.
Right.
We wonder why we're so damn good at developing basketball players, because they don't go above 5v5. So they can go play pickup, like, again, in Florida, it's warm outside all the time. There are hoops around where I live that I drive by every day, and you'll see 20 to 30 guys waiting to play basketball.
Right.
And you're like, and I'm always like, damn, like, can we get that for soccer? We don't have it. But, like, my point is, imagine if all the training for 7 years, let's say 6, 7 years,
Absolutely.
is just 5v5, or I should say, no more than 5v5. Our
And
level would skyrocket if we're doing
so
all
you
the
develop
basics,
1 and 2
fundamentals, and
touch
5v5.
football, as
That's why I'm
opposed
such
to
a big
taking
believer in futsal,
5 and
because
6 touches.
it's
I go and watch LAFC here, and I'm appalled at the quality on the pitch, and that's MLS. These players are taking 3, 4 touches. Again, I'm going to watch a Premier League game in a few weeks' time, 1 or 2 touch, maximum 3 touches. And it's not so much the physical speed, Carl, it's the speed of thought.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have to ingrain that in these kids, because they've got it in Europe. They're playing 1 and 2 touch at 7, 8, 9. They're able to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They have level. But, like, the other thing that I think people miss out on is what I call the pre-phase. So birth to 4 years old. Like, a good example is me. I didn't start touching a ball until I was 3. I didn't watch soccer until I was 3. So I missed out on 3 years of development because I was not looking at a ball or touching a ball or watching soccer and stuff. So, like, those are critical years that kids can quickly learn, because they're, again, you talk about Europe, or you go to South America. Those kids are around the game at birth or very shortly after birth. So even if they're not touching a ball, they're at least watching football. Our kids are not watching football until they get to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and that's years of development already gone. And that's why I say football always starts at home.
My son's team, I know there's players who do not watch the game. Well, I said even to my own son, okay, what position do you want to play? And he tells me, I says, so you need to watch players who play professionally and look at what they do. And, I've coached a bit in the past, and I remember one session saying to the kids, right, who's your favorite player? Someone didn't even know. So you can be interested in this sport, but to get better, who are you trying to emulate? Who do you aspire to be like? And there is none, other than, well, my dad's going to pay $5,000 for me to come, wear a nice kit, not hold any of the coaches accountable, and then I'm going to get a little shiny medal for some Tim Park tournament where I haven't got any better. And therein lies the problem. So.
And it's not going to end until people take the money out. So it's a huge fundamental problem, bro. And I mean, we should talk more off this chat, but, like, it's just getting people to not do the same bullshit over and over and over and over and over again. But until that happens, it's going to be the same shit, unfortunately. It's just not going to.
And for the parents to stop panicking and throwing money at something that is never going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think you're right. That's a huge problem, because it's FOMO, or it's, the supply and demand curve, so to speak, of, people go, oh, well, is the grass greener over here? And it's not necessarily greener. It's just different, whether it's right or wrong. And a lot of times, like, and I've seen this. I've seen MLS Next clubs that are not MLS academies, so they're a pay-to-play organization, and they're saying, well, you're going to get exposure. So then parents get excited because they're going to go, oh, well, we're going to go to this showcase, and we're going to have 300 Division I college coaches. Like, I had a guy argue this with me the other day. He's like, oh, well, my son got looked at by 300 coaches. I said, okay, wait, let's do some basic math, right? He's like, okay. I said, okay, 300 coaches. How many coaches has your son talked to? 0. Okay, so he's talked to 0. How many do you think are actually watching you? Oh, I think 10 to 20. And I'm like, what in your mind, or why in your mind, do you think somebody's watching your kid when you've never even talked to them? Oh, because my son's good. Okay, so let's use that premise that your son is good. Don't you think that the other
Right.
kids in MLS Next are good? Yes. So then what makes your kid stand out comparatively? Oh, well, he plays center mid. Okay, but you didn't tell me what makes him stand out. What is he doing on the field that stands out? Well, he makes a good pass. Okay, don't you think there's other kids that make a good pass? Yes. Okay, so we keep going in this big circle. So they're just being sold on this dream or this pipeline that their kid's going to get looked at because they're in MLS Next and they're going to the MLS Next showcase where there's 300 Division One college coaches. I'm friends with Division One college coaches or former coaches, and they all say the same shit.
Right.
They're going to events because they're already in contact with guys that they're looking at. So for you to grab their interest and you've never talked to
Yeah.
them previously, you'd have to be
Well,
so,
that was
pardon my
going to be
French
my
again,
point,
so
Carl. If,
fucking
as a
good
parent,
that they're
right,
like,
you were saying
who
that
the
your child
fuck
is
is
good,
this kid?
then you're delusional because they can't be good. They have to be
Yeah.
absolutely outstandingly exceptional. Not good. I have an 85-year-old mom who could be good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know that to get to that level, even in this country, let's just say that I've got a kid and I want him to play MLS. I'm looking at his peers. Does he stand head and shoulders above his peers every single game? Does he dominate? Does it make it look like it's men versus boys?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about having one or two good games a season. They have to be exceptional.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of delusional parents throwing money at what they think is the standard. But no, you can't be exceptional and pass the standard.
Well, and I did that. So, like, when I was 14 years old, I made a video about this, the Pro Academy test. I was juggling. And actually, ironically, I got so much hate for this thing about juggling and this being a European Academy test. And the moral of the story was, for me to be considered to even go to the academy, the guy that gave me the test. So, does the academy actually use this test? No. But the coach gave me the test, and he's at Olympic Lyonnais. And the test was 50 right, 50 left, 50 both, and 50 headers juggling. So some people like it juggling, some people don't. Whatever, it's irrelevant. The point that I'm trying to make is time with the ball. If you juggle, that shows you have spent time with the ball.
Yeah.
And then when I actually went there, I had that exact conversation of what you just said, and it was they were like, "Hey, Kyle, this was at the end of the trial because at that time you could actually go sign for a club no matter what age you were." And they're like, look, you're at the level of the academy kids that we have. And I'm like, cool. But they're like, we're not going to sign you. And I'm like, wait, you just told me I'm at the level. So me and my dad are sitting there in the meeting with the director and the coach that brought me. And they're like, yeah, you have the level, but we're not going to take you. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why? You just told me the level. We're not looking for the level. We're looking above our level. Correct. Yeah. So and that's what people don't get. They're like, oh, well, my son's good enough. Great. I love that your son's good enough. He's not better than what they have.
But you have to be pragmatic and look at the landscape and think, well, actually, you know what? No.
Yeah.
He's just adequate. And that's fine because, maybe that's not his journey. But and again, it's a lot of these clever coaches and a lot of these clubs saying that this is a pathway, this is a gateway to. No, it's just a gateway for you to have lighter pockets, in terms of losing thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah. And so, like, I hope anybody that's listening to this or takes it home later, like, and it's actually funny, Anthony, I've gotten probably 300 messages from people, like, in my DMs saying, oh, my son's really good. And I'm like, I'm glad you think your son's really good. I bet you he's not as good as you think he is. And that's okay.
It's relative.
There's nothing wrong with that. You should think that your kid is good.
But it's relative, Kyle.
To your point, they have
it's
to
relative.
They have to perform
on the field.
Team. They have to be the best player.
On a national level, on a state level, where is he? We can all be Pele in our back garden. Do you know what I mean? By ourselves, right? But it's then, again, are they the best? Is he part of the best 50 kids in the country, in the state? There you go.
Generational talent. That's if you're the best 50 kids in the country, you're probably a generational talent. So, yeah, people just, I think they missed that. So I'm glad you actually said that because I didn't even think about saying that until you said it. And I'm like, people just don't get that part. Like a good example to finalize that part would be, we had a group of guys play against a bunch of Division I colleges, one of them being Stetson. And our guys played against Stetson. And there was a scout there from another school, Division I. And how do I explain this to you? They were looking for a goalkeeper. And we had a guy there, 20 years old. He played at Orlando City B. He trained with the first team a bunch of times, and apparently he did so well that this coach went up to him and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, who the fuck are you? Where do you play? What's your story? We want to bring you into our school." But the reality
Yeah.
of that actually happening for people that are listening to this or that will listen to this
Yeah.
is so small that your kid has to be a fucking standout, a standout. And again, this was not a kid. This was a 20-year-old adult who happened to be at Orlando City B that
Yeah.
they ended up releasing a bunch of players. He was one of them they released. So he already played at a good level.
Well,
So I
they've
think,
been guided
again,
by
that's
these
something that people
coaches
don't
attached to these
understand and they
cash
miss
cows
out
who
on.
are saying your child has potential, your child has this. Of course, they're going to tell you that because they want you to give them more money. But the practicality is they don't even have the game IQ to recognize what generational talent is or what the basic fundamentals should be. So they're just trying to retain your money.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's why, like, I had a bunch of online content that I used to charge a good amount of money for, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll make it free. I'll find a way to pay for it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, education for this kind of stuff should be free so people can be educated and learn. So, and that's why I started producing all this content because I'm like, my parents were the same thing. My parents were nobody. They never played any sports at a high level. Like, I don't think my dad even played high school. My mom didn't play high school. They didn't play any sport at a competitive level. So I was the first player in my family to go through that.
No.
And I'm like, there's so much bullshit that I learned. I'm swearing way too much. I'm very passionate about this. And, like, I've been through the whole thing, and the system, what people don't realize, the entire system is designed to screw you. Like, you're not supposed to have success. That's why our players that leave the country, Christian Pulisic and all the other guys that have left to find success because they were getting screwed here.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to bring to light is you were designed to fail in this system because it failed me. Like, I'm not saying that I should have been a professional player, but there was no education on how to get past it. And that's why I'm putting out all this stuff to try and help people. Like, the most important thing or the best move people can make is, dude, go to Europe, go to England, go to France, go to Germany, go to Spain, go to South America even. Like, I would highly recommend that. But, like,
you know,
you have to be willing to take
until,
risks,
as I said,
and that's
we
what people aren't
hold
willing
the
to do.
coaches accountable until they can come up with a blueprint of what the plan is for the team, for your specific child, and where they hope they will be in 9 months. Look, our kids are in school, and at the end of each school year, they have to meet certain requirements so they go to the next grade. Why is it any different if you're paying $4 or $5 grand to a coach who's meant to be an educator, and the child at the end of 9 months still can't receive on the back foot or do anything much more fundamental than he could do 9 months ago? And you're still continuing to pay them again and again and again the same amount of money for very little or minimal development. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, and I would even argue, like, I think you're right. I think it goes with coaches, but I would say it's pressure on the club to do the right thing, to tell the coaches to do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, like, there are clubs that have a curriculum, but then like there's a big cash cow that revenues $2 to $3 million right next to me. I've seen their curriculum. It's okay. It's not that bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But like,
there you go.
They're not implementing it. All their teams are fucking smashing the ball down the field. So the club, the directors at the club and stuff, and the directors of the club and stuff, they're the one that are sending the messages down to say, hey, this is what we need you to do. They're not saying, hey, follow our curriculum. They're saying, hey, do whatever you need to do to build a team, to revenue money, to do whatever. And I worked for a cash cow, not a very big one, but they had about 1,200 kids. And I was my actual title was an age group coordinator. So I was like a mini director at the time. And the same thing, they're like, hey, we need to revenue as many kids, or we need to have as many kids as possible to build revenue. We didn't sit in those meetings saying, hey, what are we going to be? What is our developmental focus for these age groups? Why is it this? It was, hey, Kyle, you're an age group coordinator. I need you to go talk to parents. Do they have any brothers and sisters that we can get into the program? And that is just a huge red flag that people are overlooking and don't understand that it's a problem. And people are missing out on the development structures that are, for lack of a better word, a big fundamental concern for growth. And I think at this moment we've lost Anthony. My man is gone. Oh shit. Hold on, wait. Let me see. Hold on. Is this Fabian? Is he coming in? Is my dog coming in? Is that what I'm seeing here? Hold on, let's see.
Man,
Oh no, the El Jefe.
how have you been? Yeah, I saw. I was just training with him. He left today or yesterday, I think. It's unbelievable, man. To even play with him was unbelievable. I remember we played a small sided game, and that playing 1-2s with that guy is crazy. His,
I can't even
his
imagine, bro. I'm like watching this dude. Like
I
he was doing these
no,
passes
and
to
his
us, and I'm
touch
like,
his touch
he's
is
not
is,
even
is so
following through, and
nice.
he's still
So he has like
smashing
a
the ball
really good
back. I'm like,
touch.
what the fuck is that?
Really good.
But how's
It's
everything in
good,
Orlando City, man?
man.
What is
It's
it like being a
it's
first team player
definitely a life I
now,
wanted I
making your
wanted to live, a
debut?
life I dreamed of. So it's like it's pretty good, but in reality, it's even harder when you
Yeah.
get there. So it's just, and I just gotta push, man. No, oh,
Did you know ahead of time that you were going to get
yeah,
the debut?
it's
Did they tell you, hey, we're
huge
going to give
guys.
you,
I was just
three,
doing
four
good in
weeks?
training. I was
Just a surprise, huh?
kind of building up to it. So it's pretty,
Yeah.
I know it's pretty.
Yeah, that's freaking. I'm so happy for you, bro. It's great that you're making those steps. And any targets like for you personally? Are you trying to get? I mean, I'm sure you are, but like, have you set yourself a target, or has like the club set you a target to say, hey, look, we want you to try and
I
get
mean,
like
it's that that
three more
that
games or three
communication is not.
starts
It
or
just
anything like
depends on
that, or
like
how
how
how does it
your
work for you? I'm
performance.
curious.
It's always your performance. Yeah, it's always your.
Hey, it's fun, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
what people need to
Yeah,
understand
it's
that.
the
Like what you just said,
performance.
it's
Even
about
in
how
training,
you
like I can
perform,
have a
bro. And
good
like
game,
people
and
don't
if
get
I
it.
train like total crap the
Yeah.
next day, I'm getting sat down for sure. Yeah, it depends because
How
if you
many
travel
guys
out
are
of
on the
state,
first
like
team
out of
roster?
state, it's like probably 20, so they take two extra guys in case, and then
Yeah.
18, 20 in home games.
But like okay, so
It
like how many? Like I guess my question is like
it
at
gets
training
the I mean the
when you're at
whole team, but
home
it gets
based
divided
training,
sometimes. For
how many
say if I'm
guys are
playing
at
with
the
the
training
second team, like
session?
I'll train with the second team. Like guys are up and down. I mean, we get some academy kids for say if the
Yeah.
first team needs players, like the academy kids will go train with the first team. So it's pretty good. Like today we had a couple of academy kids playing with training with the first team. It's up and down.
So it's just it's crazy because like I don't think people get that
Yeah,
like the amount of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the
yeah,
amount of competitiveness that you
it's
and all the
tough,
guys need to
man. It's
have
tough.
to earn your
It's
spot to play every week.
it's definitely something different because I like you talk to the coaches and they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're the star in academy. You had number 10, but it's different now. He's like, now you're just a normal player and you have to compete. So yeah, it's real life. Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
This is real life.
you just gotta be different. Like you said, I was hearing you
Shit.
say, man, you gotta be different. You gotta have something different. Like all coaches like different
Yeah.
stuff. For say, like my coach,
Yeah.
my second team coach is like, yeah, look, you might be talented, but this guy has speed and strength, and that's what we're looking for. So there's different coaches that like different stuff. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right. They have needs and what they want to work on. Isn't that fun? And people just don't get it. So like what for you? Because I would love
Yeah.
people to understand and hear this. Like, what do you think? And I talked to you on the podcast about it, but I would love for people that are going to listen to this later. Like, what do you think set yourself apart to
Honestly,
get a first team contract at
the
17
hard
years old?
it just combines a lot of different stuff. I mean, it's just the hard work and patience and honestly, my parents were a big part of it. They let me do my job at the end of the day. So it was just they let me perform, and if they
Yeah.
had any words or any opinions, for say my dad or mom would tell me after like after training or after like a game, look, you need to work on this, but it's you got to work on it. I can't tell you to work on it.
Right.
You don't work on it. So it's, yeah, exactly. And I had
That's funny. So
guys
you
to
mean you
help
had to
me
own your
with that
development
too.
and your
Say like
process, huh?
Coach Hobby, Coach Hobby, that guy. He was the type of guy that he would like hold me accountable for
Yeah.
everything. Like what I say, how I present myself, not only like on training, like for say outside of training in the locker rooms. Like he'll be like, look, you if you want to be the top guy, the star of the team, you can't be doing this. You can't be like it's just my role. I had to know my role, so it's hard.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, to his point, and Javier's a great guy, great coach. He was trying to help prepare you if you were going to make it to be a
Yeah.
first team player or a B player, and it's just a great process, man. Like I'm super happy for you, and I'm proud of everything that you're doing because you're setting the tone, and like
Yeah,
how do I
exactly. Yeah.
explain this? Like you're a dream for other kids that I hope learn to follow in your path, bro. Because it's such a great thing that you've done,
Yeah, well,
and the
we have
stuff that
a
you're doing. Like
Pan
you're even on the
America
you're on
Olympics, so
what,
we
the
play
U20 national
Brazil
team,
in
right?
a little bit, the U19. So, it's at the end of October.
I when is that?
We go to my country, Santiago,
Is
Chile.
it local or you got to travel?
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
I shit, it's gonna be crazy. Shit, man, unbelievable. And I'm curious. So, like from a training perspective, what what does training look like on a day to day,
It's
like an average
we
training
have so we have
session for
like
the first team when you train with them? What
um
does it look like?
a max speed day. So there'll be a day for say today was max speed, and yesterday. So we have a day we do like transitions, and
Yeah.
it's just a daily basis. So after games, the day after
Hmm.
there's a group of guys doing recovery, and there's a group of guys doing small sided, like working their ass off, just like literally till we can't no more. Like they'll be like, oh, one more, one more, one more, one more, and it's like, yeah. So there's those like usually
Yeah.
Mondays,
Go
Tuesdays, and
again,
then
push.
the
Yeah.
day after is just like structure, like positioning, and it's a lot of technical stuff. A lot of technical stuff. Yeah, and then usually on Thursdays is when we run our ass off. So yeah,
Good.
yeah, the Thursday's the day we run.
Yeah. Thursday's the day you run, huh? Yeah. And then, because somebody asked me, hey, what do you think a typical a typical week for a pro looks like? So, could you answer that question? What does a typical week look like for you? Like, it don't have to be like super detailed, but like, for example, you train
So
8 a.m. to 10,
I'll just give you
then
the
you have a
timing.
meal, then you have
So wake up
recovery, like
at
just a
what
typical week.
6:30, training, be there at 7:30 a.m. Train at 8 a.m. Training's like 2 hours.
Hmm.
Finishes at 10:30. Uh, Workout after. You can't. The coaches don't let you slip on that. You got to work out after. Yeah, but not like weights. Like it's
When
more
you say workout, you
functional
mean
stuff
in the
to
gym.
for the game. It's not like, oh yeah, you got to get big. It's more like stuff to like help prevent, like for say
Right.
prevention for injuries,
Yeah.
like stuff to like hold up the ball, stuff like
Right.
that
Right.
that are work
Right. Right.
game realistic stuff. Yeah. So
So it's
those
game.
good. So
It's
that's like
game
what usually at
based.
11,
Yeah.
11:30, and then we
Right.
have
Right.
recovery you whenever you want. So we have people with massages, we have massagers,
Yeah.
like, everything. So it's really good. And then we have our own chef, a really good
Yeah.
chef now. So we eat. It's like from 12 to
Man, you guys.
1:30. It's really good. His name is Keegan. Oh my God, he's amazing. I wish he was on here right now.
Yeah.
That guy's food is class.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. So
You
so
guys
if
get you
if a
get two
player
meals, you get one
they
meal.
have a plan for each player. So for me, I have to eat like 2 meals because I'm trying to like not gain weight but gain a lot of muscle, and I work a lot, I run a lot, so I need a lot of protein and that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Like for say, I was
Yeah, because you're
145
young, you got to put on
January,
size.
and now I'm 165.
Shoot.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Right.
it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and
You put on the
it's
weight.
not like
Yeah.
I'm
Well, again,
getting
you're trying to
chubby. Like
prepare
this
your
is all
body for
it's all
first
like
team
muscle.
football,
So
which
it's
is
crazy. Like my body feels better than ever right now. It's crazy.
right, right. But it makes a difference because I mean, my next question was going to be this: what do you feel like is the difference? Because you were in MLS Academy, then you've done OCB as well, and now you've also gone with the first team. What do you think is the difference between, say, Orlando City
I mean,
Academy and
it's
then
they're all a
OCB, and then the
huge
same
jump.
question would be OCB to the
It's
first team?
they're all a huge jump for say. It's like not just like not just like playing wise. I mean, you got to mentally be ready for that jump too, because it's like you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm a good player. Yeah, it's gonna survive the whole jump. So for say, if the academy, it was good. It was a really good level, especially
Yeah,
for Orlando City. Like I think they made semifinals each year for MLS
yeah,
Next. So it's pretty good. The level is really good, and the trainings double
MLS.
sessions some days. So I mean, it definitely gets you ready for OCB, but not to a point. There's only a couple players where get that switch where they're like, yes, I need to be different. So and especially for first team, you can't you get if you get one shot, you can't look like you don't belong there, or else they're gonna be like this kid.
Well, so that was gonna be my next question. So when you
Yeah,
were in the academy, like
the
Benji
first
told me you
session,
got to
I
train a
think
couple of times with the first team.
these kids were like, damn,
What
the
was that
first
like?
pass
Like
you
the
got, you
first
made
session, what was
count
that
and
like?
scored a golazo. And so it's like, you kind of got to be like, damn. So guys are like, yeah, this kid's good, man. This kid has potential. Like, he belongs here. Like, this kid should be here. So it's kind of, you got to, it's hard, but it's not, it also involves luck, because you could be at the right time, the right place, and boom, you do one play, and then, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's all about
You
just
got attention.
taking your opportunities the right way.
Yeah. Because I heard, I don't know if this is true, you correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
one of the things
I
I
think
heard was that you actually
I
nutmegged
nutmegged
Ron,
Ron,
and
and
everybody's
then it
like,
was
oh
Kyle.
shit,
So it
look
was
what
like
this kid just
they
did.
played me a long ball, and I took a
Yeah.
first touch like under his legs because he stepped, because I saw him coming full speed. I mean, because he's fast.
Yeah.
So I saw him coming full speed. I'm like, oh, I already know this guy's gonna come flat footed. So I just, like, my first touch was like a nutmeg. So it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's just those differences. And like, talk about, if you can, your diet. Like, what do you have to eat? And what does that look like on a daily basis? Because I think this is something that's missed, especially at youth. Like, there's a bunch of kids I work with that say, "Oh, I want to be a pro," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what are you doing outside of
Oh,
training?
yeah.
What's your diet look like?" Well, I go to
No,
McDonald's.
I don't. I
No, you,
think the
you
only
can't.
time,
So if
it's
you can
funny
kind of
that
highlight
my
what your
parents
diet
only
looks
let me
like,
drink Coke
that
on
would
New
be great.
Year's. So water, like, even like that's a big thing. Like, it's yeah. At the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I really want this, but is it really gonna? It's probably gonna affect my body when I play. I'm probably gonna get a cramp, and then the coach is gonna look at me bad. Like, what are you doing off the field? So really gotta prepare your body for that, especially. So my
Right.
diet is like, I try to get, at least for me, especially three or more meals a day, and then I got to be on top of my protein, because for a player it's needed, man. So it's like breakfast is a must for me. Some players don't eat breakfast though, because they
So
feel lighter. So I don't really know about that, but
yeah,
some players don't really eat breakfast. But breakfast, lunch, it's really precise with the timings too. It's like 7 a.m. and then 12:30, and then you eat like bars throughout that time period, and then you eat like a good, like, half dinner snack, and then a
yeah,
good dinner though, like a good, really good dinner. And
yeah.
I don't remember the
So how
last
about
time
any
I ate
fast
fast. I
food?
think,
You eat fast food still or no?
like I just went out with my, like, boys to go eat, and it was a healthy place, and these are like professional soccer players, like, Freeman, like Duncan, those guys. Yeah, we
Yeah.
ate like chicken, really precise,
Right,
like
right, right, right.
guacamole, like there's protein, man. It's just like Freeman got a salad, and we're like, you got a salad, like stuff like that. You gotta be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, man, because we had a tournament this past weekend. It was
Oh my
futsal, and one
god.
of the parents put in the group chat, "Oh, we're going to KFC." You're going to KFC? Like what? What? Like I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you can't do that. Oh, and it was funny. The same parent was like,
Oh
my
my
son says he wants to be a pro, and
god.
I'm like, lady, listen, you can't be taking your kid to go to KFC. Like you got to stop that immediately. Otherwise, the chance of him making it. She's like, oh well, he needs to eat
Yeah, I
something
mean,
that's different. I'm like, agree,
it
different is
also
fine,
depends, man. Because,
but
like,
it's
for
got to
say,
be
there's
something that can
days you
help
could
at
do that.
least
Like, there's days you could cheat your,
promote.
like, obviously there's days, like, we're human. At the end of the day, like, we're gonna go out sometimes. We're gonna have
Yeah,
like a rest day.
cheat meal.
We're gonna be like, you know what, we could eat this because we're not doing anything the next day to prepare myself for this. Like, it's not something. And us kids, we burn a lot of calories. For say, I burn like
Right,
3,000 calories a day, because we have the aura ring, and it shows. So it's like we burn a lot of calories,
right,
especially as a kid. And so there's days you could do that. Of course, there's cheat days, but it can
right,
become a
right, right.
habit. Like I said in the podcast, like, there's stuff that can become a habit to become a professional. Like, you got to be strict with your habits, especially in life.
It's crazy, man. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like people don't get it. And then can
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talk
we
about
we
like
spoke a lot
the
about
kind of
that.
work
Yeah,
ethic you had as a kid? Because I think
my
this is something that we spoke about on the
it's
podcast.
it's the work effort has to be there,
Yeah,
man. I mean, you can have
but I
all
don't
the
think
time in
people
the
get it.
world, but if a coach sees that and sees that you don't have a work effort, then you're definitely not gonna exceed the level that you want to be. And especially at a pro level, you have to have
Yeah,
your work effort. Like, the coach would tell me, yeah, you're a good attacker, you're scoring goals, but you're not defending.
yeah.
And it's like, you gotta have that. I mean,
Mm.
as a kid, I would even, for say, if I have a shit training, my dad would be like, you know what, no, you're training after training and working on this that you did crap. And if it was mostly ball work for sure, and dribbling, like dribbling out in clones, and we won't mean like, it's not
Yeah.
like we train in a pitch. We'll go to a gym and train in the concrete with just a ball. And it's just those little things that take you far, man, and that work effort always has to be
Yeah.
there, because those little details, coaches watch, man, and especially a coach like you see those details that kids
Yeah. The
lack sometimes,
fundamentals.
and you gotta be really on spot with those little details that coaches look at.
Well, so like my next question would be, because again, I think this is something that parents miss out on, don't understand. Like, for example, when you're in the academy and Javier is your coach, was like, let's
Yeah,
say you
yeah.
probably, I think we talked about specifically, like, I think he dropped you at some point, right? He took you out of the starting 11. Was it mom and
No,
dad
no.
going up and saying,
You
Javier,
know
what
what?
the hell? Or was it you having to have that
It
conversation
was the
and
complete
why?
opposite. I remember I was not getting rostered in the beginning of the season, and my mom and dad were like, "Oh, should we talk to him? What do you think?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Mom, dad, I'll do it. Like, it's my job. Like, this is what I want to complete. This is my goal. It's my future. It's my career. It's not your career." So they respected that. Like, if I
Yeah.
told them that, they didn't they weren't they weren't they weren't like ever like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, like let me go to a coach and tell him, oh, why is my kid not playing?" No, they would be like, "Fabian, you're playing like shit. You got to go work your ass off to go get in the field." And at the end of the day, it's worth it, man, because it develops a real player, not a in Spanish a mamon, where you're like, oh yeah, you rely on something for you to.
Right. The the way that I say
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
you're
exactly.
self
Yeah, I mean,
you're
when I played in
self-sustainable, you're
Chile, I
independent.
didn't have
You're not dependent
my
on mom and
parents.
dad.
We there was a point and where we were in an apartment with a blanket as a bed, and I'll have to go to training in the metro by myself as a 12-year-old kid. And what I mean, other kids now will be like, oh yeah, well, I need my dad, my mom to take me here. I mean, no, it's just you gotta have be independent, because at the end of the day, you never know in life, and you're not gonna have those people to rely on. And so, yeah,
Crazy, isn't it? So talk about that if you can a little bit more, because I didn't even know
I mean,
that about you having to
me and
go
my
on a
brother
train by
experienced
yourself
that,
at
man.
12.
We
Like,
when we
what
played
do
in
you
Católica,
think?
they
Like,
play in the mountains.
yeah,
So Católica plays in Las Condes, so they play in Chile. Cold, man. It's just a whole different part. So we lived in like the whole different city, in like the city, because that was like the most cheapest place we could live, and we stayed there for a little bit, and man, we were living in like the 30th floor, and there's earthquakes over there, so it's like even scarier. And me and my brother would, you know what, we'll go time for
yeah,
training.
that's hard.
My training would be later, but his training would earlier, and I'll still go with him. We'll go together in the metro, have our own card, and no phones, like nothing, phones in the bag, like it's just us two, man. I was 12, he's like 13. And those are stuff where you end up in the long term being like, yeah, well, this is how, yeah, this is real life. That's how some kids live. Those are stuff
Real
that
life.
you see back then. Wow,
Yeah.
like I went through this. Like I could just like so much other kids going through way more, and some kids don't see that. Some kids have the easy way out, and that's why.
Well, they have parents. Their parents drive, Land Rovers and have all the nice equipment and all that kind of stuff. And, like what you're talking about to me is that you had to struggle, and then it kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were going through this and you're like, man,
Yeah.
if I want to make it, I
Yeah.
have to be willing to sacrifice these
And you know
things
what,
and know that I have to
that
do all this
sacrifice is a big
work
part
to
too,
be
man,
successful.
because you gotta be willing to sacrifice everything, especially for a career. I mean, it's like going to college. Your parents are sacrificing money for you to go to college. They're sacrificing their time. They're working their ass off there, and they're paying you for a
Yeah.
whole 4 years of school. And those are things that you got to realize, and you got to take advantage and take the best of it. Because at the end of the day, some kids don't even have the opportunity to go to college and go like places where other kids can't go. And so, I mean, the sacrifice you go always got to realize the
Right.
sacrifices that you do, and like as yourself and others. Because my mom and my dad sacrificed a lot, man, a lot. They,
Yeah. And how do you feel now? Like, let me ask you this question. This is the $1,000,000
no,
question. Now that you've signed as a professional player, do you feel like you've made it? So
yeah.
what do you feel now as, you've been a pro for a couple of
I feel like
months. What do you feel now?
more eager to be even better, man. I feel like it's just. I feel like there's always room to improve in every single aspect in soccer. So I feel like you can't you can't be perfect in soccer. Even if you can't be perfect in life. Not everyone has their up and downs. And so
Right.
personally, I feel like when I first signed, I was like, yeah, I signed, but I want more, man. Like this is not the first stop
The
sign. There's got to be
real
more,
work
man.
starts.
So I just take it as that and always think as
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like just stop here and just not look forward and look at the future I have, the brighter future. So I always put in my mind, you know me. The thing I said in the podcast was always want more, especially as
Yeah.
a kid. Can't settle for less, man. And it's just that I always put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just pushing for it. And then how do you deal with, like, even now, especially now, I should say, not especially now that you're a professional, you're signed as a pro, and you've gotten some first team minutes, you get OCB minutes. How do you deal with
Yeah,
that? Of, you want to be on the first team, like
it's
that mental
hard.
pressure. How do you
It's
deal with that
hard, man. I
personally?
mean, honestly, you can't be negative about it because at the end of the day, you gotta think about it. It's like kids want your spot, man. Kids want to be there. Like kids want to be where you're at in your position, and so you gotta be happy, man. Thank like thank God just that you're there, man. Because at the end of the day, kids don't have what I have, and I'm a big influence for those kids, and so. I just, even though I'm not
Right.
starting, even though I'm not playing, if I'm on the bench, I just got to be happy and play the game I love playing. It's my job. It's what I get paid for. It's what I get to work, and I love it, man. So it's like the coaches always tell me, like, you're always playing happy. And I'm like, yeah, because I enjoy it, man. Even though I'm not starting, like, I'm so obviously working, but I enjoy it. Like, you gotta love the sport, man. You gotta love the job. You can't get paid for something for so you can't. I know people in McDonald's don't want
Yeah.
to work at McDonald's,
Right.
but that's what they gotta do. So it's just I just love what I'm doing, man. It's honestly a dream. So
And right here, that's funny. Huli Maguli said his son's name is
yeah,
Lincoln. He's, I think, 7 or 8. He said, "You're
yeah,
my
man.
son's new favorite
It's yeah.
player."
I
So
mean,
there we go.
I
You got a
that's
new fan
crazy
right there.
because
That's
kids
awesome.
always are like texting me on Instagram like, oh, I look up to you, and I'm like, I guess it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So that motivates me a lot, and seeing what motivates me a lot is seeing not just myself but other people growing. So I love giving back, man.
Yeah. I mean, you do a great job, man. You've done awesome. Just coming out, speaking with kids, talking with them. Helping guide them, and I think all the stuff that you're doing is, like, what I mean by doing is, like, you were 17 years old. You just turned
Yeah,
18. You're a full time pro, and then you can relay that
yeah,
message back to kids, because there's a bunch of people that are looking up to you in this case, and I think it's amazing the stuff that you're able to do and implement, because people
yeah. I
don't
mean,
get
it's a
it. Like, they
lot.
don't get what you had to
And
go
sometimes
through
people don't even
to
have to
get to
go
this
through
point.
what I went
And
through or other players went through. And sometimes they have it a good way. And then honestly, those kids should be grateful because some kids don't even have it that way.
yeah.
So it's just a matter of fact of knowing the position that you're in and taking advantage of it. Nah, you're good, man. You're good.
Yeah. And then the last question I have, then I'll let you go, bro. I don't want to keep you much longer. What is it
It's
like?
it's
What is
amazing.
it like representing the U.S. national team,
It's
even at the under
honestly
20 level?
another dream. Is like I would never thought of. Like it just happened so fast too. Like I was balling out the last year of my academy year, and boom, I get a national team call up, and then ever since then, it's like I got called up to every single one. So it was like
Yeah.
they
And how
let
did that
the club
work?
know,
Was
and the
it like an
club
email,
lets
or
you
did they
know, and
call you
then after
personally and
that,
say, "Hey, Favian, you're
the
in"? Or
national team just contacts you after they have your email and all that.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shit, man. Well,
of course, yeah,
again, I
yeah.
don't want to take up too much of your time, so I appreciate it, man. We'll do another one at some point, and I think it'd be good to break down more details. And I'll let you have
Yeah,
have your
good.
night, bro.
Hey,
And I
thank you,
appreciate you
Kyle.
jumping in
Have a good
finally.
night.
It's been great, and we'll connect soon, bro. I appreciate your time. Well, peace, bro. I'll talk to you. Done, man. I've been trying to get Favian in for a while. He's a freaking legend, bro. I hope you guys all follow. He's good question. How old is he? He's 18 years old, man. 18 years old. He's still technically a kid. He just turned 18. Unbelievable player, first off, to start with that. And Orlando City Academy did a great job at helping him develop. Javier is a beast, and just his level is crazy, bro. He's a very, very good player, and I'll have him on again, bro, so we can go into a little bit more detail. It's late. I don't want to keep him up too late. So that's it, man. That's it. Any other thoughts from anybody? Let me know. I'm gonna get off as well.